Hello, everybody. So, if you haven't played my little submission for the GMTK Game Jam 2025 theme loop yet, then you might want to skip this, but I just want to go over my thoughts, how it went, what I was doing for the past 4 days to create what I created, because I'm a little disappointed in what I did. A lot of time was wasted, and this was, I mean, to be fair, this was the first game jam I entered in by myself. This was the second game jam I've ever been in. The first game jam I ever been in, I don't really count that much. I was on a team, but I made a main character and we just didn't even use the main character. I think it was a while ago. So it didn't really feel like I was even part of a team. And with that one, all we did was we bought a bunch of stuff off the asset store, and then the leader guy created like a little game around that. And honestly, now that I know how to make games a little bit better, he did not do a very good job. Not to throw shade, but he was kind of a dick, so I'm going to throw a little shade. But um, so yeah, let me just explain the day. So day one, I hear looping. I immediately think a city. Because one, I only know how to make 3D platformers, and I don't even know how to make them very well. But I am making a current 3D platformer, and it said I could use assets. So I'm like, I'm not going to remake my own character. I'm just going to use the character from here, and everything I make is going to be basically one of the levels in the game I'm currently making. That way, one, good for marketing. Two, I'm not wasting any ideas because this is a pretty cool idea. So I can just implement it into one of my games, into my current game. Um, and three, I don't have to waste all my time trying to create new characters, trying to do all this stuff. Basically, make an already working platformer. I can just focus on level design and art, but in this case, I couldn't really focus on the art either. So it was just basically trying to focus on prototyping out a cool level. So the idea is everyone around you is looping. So if you're in a city, there's a guy who goes to work, goes to the grocery store, goes home, sleeps, goes back to work, goes to the grocery store, goes home, sleeps. And if you want to get into the grocery store, you have to wait for that guy to open the door for you, like an automatic door. You have to sit by the door, open the door, and then we'll go through it like that. And so I was going to make a platformer level that kind of revolved around that, and you had to kind of like learn everyone's, loop, everyone's day, and kind of figure out how they coincide, how you can use them to your advantage. Now, the first level I was going to do was going to play checkers. I did start out doing chess, and yes, I even was making my own chess pieces. Wasted a lot of time doing that. But at least I can say I didn't use someone else's assets. um, so I started out with these, and I realized, that would be really hard to kind of like get the platforming down. So checkers is easier because they're already just discs. And the idea is these guys will be playing checkers, and you're going to be jumping on the checkers. And so you would jump on them as they're in midair to get onto these books, to get onto stuff over here, to eventually get to the cheese. Uh, and the idea was actually going to be, since the loop had to be short, because that'd be really boring to just kind of have these guys play checkers. They would play checkers for a little bit, and then one of them would get mad, throw a Coke can, another one like throw a candy bar, and it would create some more platforming. And while things are in midair, while things are being thrown, you're supposed to be like jumping around on them to get to the next side, while also waiting for them to throw a specific one. And then to loop it, he was going to smash his head against the checkboard. All these things would just fly into the air and then fly back down and reset themselves. So that was the idea. And I even got this. This is all one big blueprint. So how I was going to do it, I couldn't really figure out how to do it. So how I was going to do it was I was going to move them one at a time. Up, set the location. Down, set the location. Wait a second. This is checker going into air, like straight up in the air. Checker going diagonal to where it's supposed to go. Checker landing on space. Let's blow it. So up, move, down. And I was going to do that for 7 moves, and then they would get really angry and smash their head. Now, technically, yes, I could do that, and it would create sort of the effect of I wanted, but that would take me forever. And what I really want to do, because I've always had these ideas of a chessboard, someone playing chess, and you're platforming while chess pieces are being put down, and you got to be jumping on the platform on the chess pieces, while also trying to avoid not getting squished. I don't know. I could easily do that in Blender, animate that in Blender, but I don't know how to add the collision to it in the Unreal Engine. Because what I do is I go into Modo, and when you have, let's say this Kokan, you go into Modo, you have this as one mesh, and then you have other meshes, and those other meshes are the collision. So like this section would be one collision, this section would be another collision, this section would be another collision, and then you name them a certain thing, and then you export them all together, and the Unreal Engine sees that with the naming and sees which one's the collisions and which one is the actual model. I don't know how to do that I don't even know if Blender can do that. I don't know how to give it collision once it's in here, like besides very basic collision. Yeah, I just don't really know how I was going to do that. I've been looking at it and thinking about it for a while. I just haven't looked up. Anyways, so this was day one. Most of day one was creating these chess pieces, and then I went to bed. And then day two, I made this checkers. I went from chess to checkers. I added some more stuff. These little books, Coke cans, and then I started to make the moves. And I was like, man, this is gonna take me forever. I need to come up with a new idea. So I did. Like I said, if you haven't played my game and you don't want the illusion to be broken, stop watching this video right now because I'm about to break the illusion. Now, I call it a looping castle because it was supposed to be a castle. Stone walls and torches, and I was going to put a lot of decoration in each of these rooms so they're not so barren, but didn't have time. So yeah, I came up with this idea. You start out as a mouse, and you're in this castle, right? And you can't move forward. I gave you the controls. I gave you the story. You just try different things. You can dash. You can interact. The interact, I made sure you had this little, thing pop up. Except for some of the buttons aren't working, but that's different. So you go over, you hit the button. You go over, you go in here, and it loops back around. You're in the same building again. But this time the button is covered in glass. And you're like, okay, well let's explore a little bit more. And it's like, oh, okay, so there's a new room. Opens up. So that's the idea. You're looping throughout the same building, but with each iteration, something changes, And I wanted to make this a lot more clever and a lot more subtle, like, oh, a bookcase has moved, or, candles are no longer lit and you have to light the candles type of deal. And I did have a lot of ideas, like a room that's not lit with candles and you have to light the candles in the correct order, stuff like that. But again, didn't have time. So day two was coming up with this idea, and then I made this level, or the previous room, this room, and then the next room. Because I got these buttons to work, I got all this to open, and then oh no, that was day three. So I got the idea. Day one was coming up with the first idea, failing at that. Day two was figuring out how to do that first idea, then it not working. Day three was coming up with, or at the end of day two was coming up with the idea. Day three was coming up with these three rooms that I'm showing you right now. This is a fake button. So that's the change, fake button. And then if you go over here, fake glass. This is also a fake button. The walls are closing in. But it's actually breaking the glass is what opens this, because these doors are tied to that going down. So then these doors just went through the floor. But again, I thought it would be a lot more. I thought it was funny for one button to not work and the next button to not work. But I mean, it still looks like you hit the button and you come over here, but that is not the case. And then this is day four. Day four, I was like, okay, I'm gonna package this game and I'm going to, go through the troubles of uploading it and all that, and trying to figure out, make sure I know how to do it that way. I can just replace it and not be caught off guard. Well, it spent me all day to just package this game and figure out what all the errors were, because I just kept running into error after error after error. Final error, by the way, most of the errors were just download something, fix something. Yeah, there we go. Because it's upside down, the exclamation mark isn't working properly. But I didn't have time to go through that. And I think I only have 2 lives. Great. So that's not working properly. That's okay. You have 2 lives instead of 3. It's fine. What was I saying? Oh yeah, error after error. Most of the errors were just download this to make it export properly. Final error was an unknown error, but it showed me what folder that was in. So I knew where to go, and like I knew where the location of the error was. So that was actually an asset that I deleted a long time ago, and it did not delete in the files. So yeah, that caused compile errors. It was 2 in the morning when I finally got it to package and compile, and then from 2 in the morning to 5 in the morning, I made that level, lighting, packaging, uploading, which uploading took like half hour or something. I don't know. It took a while for itch.io to just upload it. So what this level is, this is the final level. I wanted this level to loop around itself, but I could have spawned and despawned all these doors and that cheese over there, because if you miss the cheese, the whole point is getting the cheese. You miss the cheese, you can hop in here, it's loading the level again. So the previous stuff wasn't loading the levels again. It was actually just jumping from one thing to the next. But this is reloading the level. So if you miss the cheese, everything's reset. The button's reset, the cheese is reset, and you got another chance to hit the cheese. And when you do, it says, yeah, you're the winner, play again, or quit. And surprisingly, both these, this just reloads the first level, and this quits. And yes, look at all these errors. But it runs, so who cares about those errors? So yeah, this is how it's built. You start out with this room, and then when you hit that, it teleports you here. Then this room, and then you hit that, and it teleports you here. And then you have all this room, hit that, teleports you over here, where everything's upside down. But if you go through here, it sends you to another map. I'm not going to do this for the final when I'm putting this in my game, because it loads and all that. But again, final map there, and it looks a lot like the first level. The only thing different is the torches to kind of like signify, oh, different, but same, but different. Anyways, so yeah, that's pretty much it. Day 4 was definitely a struggle. I was really disappointed because I was gonna make it day 4 was gonna be like this whole, puzzle creation day, and it just turned out to be trying to export the game day, and it ate up the entire day, and I was, but but I stayed up late, very tired, very confused, could not breathe, to give you guys one extra room, which was this, to enjoy, so that it wasn't such a short experience. I enjoyed it. I learned a lot. And I learned how to package, and I got everything to work to package. So when I do go to package my actual game, or even the demo, which I will not say comes out anytime soon, because last time I said that and it's still not out. So I'm very bad at that. But all right, y'all have a good one.